Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. Yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. And let me tell you something. Currently running is my campaign for the Oswald Chronicles. And if you're one of the first 45 physical backers, you get these 2 stickers. So go on there, check it out. It's in the show notes. And in a few days, this puppy is coming out, and this is for my better half, Daphne Lage. The book we do together is called Tall Tales. And this is the first time we're releasing it in full color. So, and this is a proof from the printer. Everybody can see there's a lot of words. I wrote the damn thing, so, you're going to have a lot of words. All right, so yeah. So there you go. Sign up for that one soon. But without further ado, let's bring home the wayward, forgotten son.
What is up, Stream Land? What's going on? I am the happiest idiot this side of the Pecos Grande. I am JD Rosario from Unstoppable Comics, and in a few hours, I am celebrating 16 years publishing under the Unstoppable Comics banner. May 29th is my 16-year anniversary, baby. So I'm a happy MFer tonight. Here to have fun and talk to everybody about comic books.
Very nice, very nice. And let's bring on our co-host for the night.
Hello, everyone. Once again, it's a holiday weekend, so I'm going to be here. This is Mark Torres from the Came From Radio, the official show, the Big Apple Con, and proud owner of my own self-published comic book right here. Look at that. Designated, which took me 30 years to make, so check that out right now. Look at that. And I bit the bullet. I actually got a slab just for posterity.
Nice. There's some collector out there that saw that 9.8. It's probably having like a conniption fit because it's not in his collection. One of those guys that just collects 9.8s. Okay. They don't care what the book is. They just want that 9.8. So, Did Mark freeze or is it just me?
I don't know.
Maybe it's just me.
Did I freeze? I didn't freeze. Right. Am I freezing? No.
What is up, everybody?
What's up, Fish?
I am Mr. Fish from Mr. Fish Comics. I'm the creator behind The Mighty Caw, the Cro-Magnon, which is on Kickstarter for a few more days, ends June 2nd. And it follows a winged avian savage from beyond the stars as he's been kidnapped away from his home planet after accidentally starting a slave uprising.
Nice. What's up, Fish?
Glad to be here, man.
Listen, man, it's good to have you on the show, fam.
Happy to have you.
Yep. What's up, Jason?
What's going on, everybody? Hey, thank you for having me on the show tonight with all these amazing comic book creators and indie publishers. Me and my buddy Noel Serrato, we are halfway through our Kickstarter campaign for Blinth issues 1 through 3, and we're just happy to be able to talk about it and hang out with you fine gentlemen for a little bit tonight.
All right, cool.
Good.
What's up, Tom?
Hey guys, what's going on? Tom Hutchison, writer, publisher, art director, shipping guy, all the hats at Big Dog Inc. We have a few days left on our World Goth Day campaign. Ends on Wednesday night. We'll be celebrating our 13-year anniversary officially in July with the BD13 anthology. And the Critter Universe, the Critterverse will be coming back full force starting next year, January, with both Kickstarter, and it will be published by Antarctic Press.
Nice.
So if it's Big Dog Inc., shouldn't you be wearing dog headphones?
They don't make those.
A lot harder to find.
I feel like that's a market that just hasn't been discovered yet.
Untapped. There's
right.
the opportunity, Tom.
That's right. I'm telling you.
There you go.
Big Dog Comics headphones. There you go.
Nice. What's up?
Hello, Ramos Comics here. I'm full-time comic book artist, art director, and production artist. So I do a little bit of everything for everyone, mainly doing freelance lettering, coloring, inking, and whatever's needed. So right now I'm doing a bunch of books for Apex Comics, and I'm lettering for paper cut books. And on occasion, when I have the time, which we never do, self-publish under Section 8 Comics.
Nice.
There you go. Very nice. And we also have
Hey, guys.
Noel. What's up, Noel?
Awesome, man. Hey, thanks for having me, JD. The land of Indy, man. I'm here, guys, and I guess I made it. I'm here with you guys, you fine gentlemen. Hey, so just to echo everything that Jason just said, we have a campaign going on. I'm Noel Serrato, aka Sapo Serrato, artist, shipper. I'm here out of Scattered Shipping. We are 15 days into our campaign of Blimps, number 1 through 3, just like Jason said. And I'm here to talk to all you fine gentlemen, guys. So let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You know, well, we have a format to the show, kind of, sort of. You know, first half of the show, we're going to be talking about stuff. And then the other half of the show, we'll be talking about you guys. So that's it. So let's start with this stuff. You know, the question of the show. Is AI the future, or should we creators shun it or embrace it? Right. So that's something, you know, we've all seen it, right? We've seen all this AR art come up, right? There's a lot of guys out there who are faking, you know, pieces. You know, I've heard accusation from professional artists accusing other professional artists that they're using it in their work on the down low and not admitting to it, right? So I mean, you know, what are your thoughts on that? You know, and let's start with let me preface this a little bit more earlier, because Wilson originally he was supposed to be out here for a lettering show, and I wanted to do a show just on lettering, but you know, things got out of hand. So, but in your case, Wilson, but this is something interesting, as I was discussing this with another friend of mine who does production, right? You know David Montoya, he was a professional colorist over at DC and stuff. He did some coloring for you guys. And he's talking about training an AI to color in his style, right? And he's talking, and he's like serious. He's like, look, he's not looking to get it to copy anybody else. He's going to feed that AI his work. He's going to feed that AI the way he colors. He's going to teach it, and he's going to teach it, and then obviously he's going to see if he can get it to reproduce work. So imagine you do lettering, you do coloring. Imagine if they get AIs to do this. I mean, how do you compete with that sort of thing, right? Like how do you think that's going to affect your marketplace? You know, because that's really the thing I think all of us have to think about. It's like, shit, you know, how are we going to deal with this, right? This new piece of technology. You know, is it going to be perfect? Probably not. Is it going to be editable? Can we edit that non-perfections out though? That's the real question. So, all right, I'll throw it straight to you, Wilson. I mean, I know you don't. You said you're coming in this a little raw. So, you know, you might be the person to ask. What do you think?
So far, with the little bit of AI that I've been playing with, okay, I see it as a tool. Right. As I mentioned before, I do coloring. I do production art. I recently did some cards for Dynamite Entertainment. I designed I think it's Red Sonja or Vampirella cards. And in some cases, there was some cards that I had to do where we're using artwork that was already made. And we're placing it into the size that we needed to make the card. So it's artwork that they give us. We can manipulate the art to a certain extent to fit on the card. Sometimes on the borders, you need to stretch the artwork out a little bit. So obviously you don't want to stretch the art, you don't want to change the art, or what have you. So I have used AI in Photoshop. They have their own filler tool, which it basically will fill that area. And I'm filling an area that I know is going to be cut off anyway, because it's part of the bleed, but you need that artwork to go on the bleed. So I'm already using AI in that respect as a tool that already came with Photoshop. I believe it's called Content Aware. And it makes it a lot quicker. It makes it a lot faster. That is something there. It's not really AI. It's just, because the other thing too, everyone's using the thing AI. There's no live computer somewhere making these choices. It's just a fancy program, so that you have that. So I'm watching it that way, and I've used the tools before, and it helps me as an artist to do something quick because it's filling up an area. So right now I see it as a tool and not a replacement. I played with Chat GTP or whatever it's called.
Mhm.
I played around with it, and it works off whatever information you feed it. So I usually say I'm not too worried about it, because in order for it to work correctly, your client needs to know what he wants. Have we ever met a client who really knows what they want? To be able to write down exactly what they need. And I've played with it. I played with it as an artist. Thinking, oh, maybe it could draw the background for me and I don't have to worry about it. I could draw the foregrounds or whatever. So I could see it really depends on who's using it, how they plan to use it. And so far, I see it as a tool that could get out of hand. I don't like the idea that people are talking about that it is stealing artworks from others and putting it together. Is that completely different than what we do by looking at the artwork and redrawing it? And again, I'm just painting generic spots with it. So I don't know if you can do a full comic book. I know some people have, but we don't know exactly how much of it that they do, because they're still putting that information into the computer.
Oh, there's already 100% AI comics that exist. 100%.
Is the lettering being done by the AI itself?
I don't know about the lettering, but the book itself, all of the artwork, the panel to panel, the page to page, is 100% AI.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is it a good book? Is it a good
that
story?
I don't know.
Exactly. So I will see we'll be flooded with a lot of junk. We're going to have a bunch of people thinking they could do comics and doing a lot of their own fan art, which is already done anyway. It's just now there's a tool.
I was going to say, we've already got a lot of that out there right now.
Exactly. And you're going to have clones, and you're basically making it easier for one person to maybe do it. Now, of course, you're going to have outliners. You're going to have an artist who knows what they're doing use the tool to get their stuff done, because they're just trying to get their own stuff done and get their own IP out there. And I see that being useful in that respect. I don't know if it's going to replace a whole bunch of artists, or a bunch of artists going to be fired. I don't know. The corporations that are doing whatever, Marvel, DC, I'm sure there's someone there looking at what's going on. They've been wanting to do something similar to that anyway. So it's the technology exists. The genie's out of the bottle. It's out there. I think we're going to see a lot of crap, and then we're going to see some really cool things from it. I can't predict the future, so I don't know how bad it would be. But again, to the case of that one book that did get put out there, I believe the copyright was taken back from it. So there's still human interaction needs to be done with it. So again, I remember when Photoshop first came out and people were worried about all their jobs being taken out. When Marvel, I was there at Marvel when we switched from hand coloring to computer coloring. And I was in a position where I was getting calls from colorists arguing that you're taking our jobs away. A lot of them switched over to using the computer for computer coloring. So again, I think it's something very similar to that. But, to me, I've played around with it. It hasn't been all that useful for me, but I may not be the one that's to be using those tools. But I'm going to give it a try. Plus, I'm only trying the free stuff. I'm not paying into it. So the people who are paying into it might be getting better results on what they're getting out of it. So,
Right.
Is it going to be different? Am I going to pay the computer to do it for me, or am I going to pay an artist who I can trust is going to give me what I asked for?
Gotcha. All right, Wilson, you said you weren't prepared. Come on, you were prepared.
I was
Right?
prepared to talk about lettering.
I know, but you're always prepared. All right, so listen, Noel, how do you feel about it? What are you thinking about the situation with AI?
It's like a loaded gun. It's a loaded gun. I mean, everything that he just said, It's true, because we won't know until we see the results. There's already, like Tom said, there's already a book already fully 100% made from this. I haven't seen this book, but to tell you the truth, there's going to be a lot of bad books going out. But in the meantime, when it's going to be a level in the field, it's going to be something that's going to blow somebody who doesn't know anything about AI. When we're talking about people like customers, they don't know what's going on. Anybody who's not in the industry they don't educate themselves enough about this. I'm still learning as right now, in real time. So if you're using it as a tool, I believe if you're using it with your artwork, if the book's not 100% AI and you're just using it for like maybe speeding up the process and maybe helping you out, not in the finished product, but kind of helping you guide yourself to be a better artist, and helping you with telling a better story. Maybe, yeah, I could see that. I'm 100% traditional, so I don't dabble in like digital and anything whatsoever. I work with a good team, so I could see that taken away from my team if maybe AI jumps in and does more inking, because I ink my own stuff, but I know artists that use inkers, they use colorists, and it's a whole package deal. What if one of the creators is like, I could find the same kind of colorist and just tap that colorist that he's been using. Now that colorist is out of the job, but then he stays there because he's the owner of the IP. That could hurt the colorist, and then the colorist is kind of scrambling, like, hey, does anybody want to hire me? So a writer could do the same thing with an artist, and his whole crew. So it's one of those snowball effects that it's going to affect everybody if we're not really paying attention. And one book could really fool the audience. 2 books could really do something. And if you got a whole fleet of books that are just really killing it in the market, then we got a problem, But how is it being used? Are you using it as a tool, or using it, if you're just a writer, you're just getting all this technology to do your stuff? How is it going to look when you go to the convention? How is it going to look when you're actually doing signings? What do you put in your credits? It's weird. To me, I want to see it first. I want to see something happen. Like what's the finished product? Then I'll probably give you a better answer. But it's kind of like, it's a loaded gun kind of question for me as an artist. I would use it as a tool. I like. Is it Will who was talking before me? Was it?
Yeah, Will.
He's to my left, to my right. I like the way he's using it. He's using it like, I think I would, if I was using it, I was using it for free. See, I wouldn't pay for that. I'm kind of I'm only going to be using my resources that really affect my company and my style and everything right there. I would use it as a tool, because if you're not using it as a tool, then you're discrediting yourself, and not discrediting yourself, but you're kind of not really using everything that's out there in the market. So they said the same thing about Photoshop. I believe he said the same thing too. They were really looking for somebody to blame when that came out. And I use Photoshop to this day, just for little things. But yeah,
I don't know anyone who doesn't.
Yeah, of course. But
like,
I
don't know anyone who doesn't use Photoshop. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I use it like probably more so, because I don't really do, like, I'm all traditional. So right. I haven't the evolution in me haven't got to that point yet. So yeah, it's an interesting question, dude.
All right, cool. Fair enough. Fish, what are your thoughts?
I don't like it, but we ain't going to change it. It's here, just like music streaming is here.
100%.
And I have to laugh every time I see everybody getting all bent out of shape about the jobs that are going to get lost. And I'm like, I know these same people were laughing as they were burning CDs off of Napster and like, oh, it ain't stealing. And, and like Metallica's being a bunch of little bitches complaining about the money that they're already rich. And I'm like, how many little bands lost out on CD sales because people were just ripping copies of it? And like, you wouldn't steal a car, but if I could burn you a copy, that'd be all right. And I'm like, yeah, it feels different now that it's our jobs on the chopping block. And, you know, but it's always that way. And there's already all kinds of creative companies that are declaring that they're not hiring new creatives, that they're going to be cutting back on their creatives. And you know how corporations have always treated us as artists and graphic designers and stuff. You know, if they can get one guy to pump out everything, they're going to do that. And if they can get one guy and, you know, pay for a subscription to an AI service to replace 15 artists, they're going to do that because it helps their bottom line out. I think a lot like the streaming services, eventually it's going to have to get to a place, or we're going to have to fight for it to get to a place to where the artists that are being referenced and used from are either people that have volunteered into it and signed up, or we're getting some kind of like residual every time it references my art. I get 15 cents off of the $20 that you're paying to use the service. And every time you type in, you know, look like Jim Lee, you know, he gets $1 for that because they're referencing his art. I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the idea of being able to train an AI. Like if there was an ethical way to train an AI just on my artwork to learn to draw and finish and color like I do, and I could pencil a page and hand it to the AI and have it ink it and color it the way I do, I mean, that would be tempting, not to get out of doing the art. Not that I don't love doing the art, but I'm a storyteller at heart. I want to be able to tell my stories and get them out to people. And if I could get that story out to you for $2 an issue, as opposed to $20 an issue on Kickstarter, because I ain't got to pay myself for a month to pencil and ink, I could be done with the book in 3 days. I mean, that would be kind of nice. I could sell the books a whole lot cheaper because I ain't got to pay myself for a month to do the work, you know? I could see the temptation of it if we could get to an ethical place with it, but it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of fighting on our parts, because corporations and AIs, they're not going to want to give the money over. Just nobody has ever wanted to, you know? The record companies didn't want to share profit and let streaming companies do this kind of stuff. But eventually they had to work something out. And I think there's a way through it someday, because it ain't going away. The genie's out of the bottle, the toothpaste out of the tube. You ain't putting it back in. I don't like it, but it is what it is.
Very true. Fair enough. Jason, what are you thinking?
I'm learning a whole lot tonight. I've heard of the AI thing, but I didn't really know too much about it. I had no idea there was something that can make comic books like that. Like it can just. Tom just blew my mind when he said there's 100% AI comic books out there. I thought AI was something is almost like a Google search where you type something in and it shows you a picture of something. I didn't know the technology was where it's at. This sounds really whoa. I'm still like Noel. I'm into traditional stuff. I'm paper and ink. I just started using a tablet for my job because they made me. But I'm probably just doing pencil and ink stuff. So it sounds like technology is way more further than I thought. This whole conversation is kind of blowing me away. So I'm just kind of learning. I don't know really what to think about all of it. It seems almost like I'm in a sci-fi movie right now, hearing all this. But I guess I'm just gonna sit back and learn some more. But yeah, this is trippy. Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's coming fast and it's coming furious, you know. So we'll see what's gonna happen. But yeah, man, it's gonna come quick. I mean, Tom. I don't know how much how. What are your thoughts on it? Like, have you been paying attention to it? I don't know if you've been.
Yeah, and what's funny is the discussions for AI right now are already 4 months behind what AI is doing. Right? It's like we're all talking about, you know, this stuff came out 4 months ago, and we're like, oh my God, 4 months ago. No. AI is already past everything that we're talking about. There are 100% AI produced comics. It's been talked about a little bit in here where AI can learn what you teach it. That's a very real thing that's happening right now. People are feeding in their own artwork, their own styles, whatever you want to call it, and trying to teach it to use what it's being taught. So it's already beyond what we're even talking about here. it's not going to go away. This is I don't know if that's a problem necessarily, but that's a reality. It's not ever going away. It's here. It's happening. Deal with it. Figure it out. Whether you want to talk about the moral elements of it, which are again the 4-month-old discussions of where it first came from, and it still is that. That's still a thing. But the moral elements of it basically scraping the internet for its ideas. There's that discussion, but like I said, it's now people are feeding in people. I saw somebody was feeding in pictures of themselves to AI in order to create a character, right? So that every time the character was created, it was based off of that face, and that's where you got the same looking face. Because most of the time, if you're like, give me a cat girl thing, and then you say it again, you get a different face. You get it,
Right.
But they were teaching it to use specifics. And that's where we are right now. Ultimately, here's the ultimate problem, right? The ultimate problem is not any of us. It is not any of the artists. It is not any of the colorists. It is not any of the publishers. It is the end user. It is the buyers of this product. And we have already been shown that the buyers, for the most part, in the large scale of anything artistic, don't give a shit where it came from. They do not care if it has been swiped from somebody else. They do not care if it is someone else's IP. They do not care if a computer made it. They don't care. And
Not one bit.
if they don't care that your comic is AI, in fact, in some ways that might also be an intriguing sort of pitch, like, hey, my comic was made by a computer based on things that I wrote. Oh, wow, let me see how that works. That could be cool. That's really the issue, right? And there will definitely be people in the art community that are like, I don't want any of that. I want somebody who actually draws, whether it's digital drawing or pencil and ink drawing, it's still drawing. I want somebody who's actually creating versus somebody who's prompting a computer to do something. There will be that art side of things. It will always be like, give me that, give me that, give me that. And if you can come out and say, yeah, I don't use AA in my stuff, that could be a draw. But that's going to be a niche audience. That's a small portion of the overall larger scale of people who are just at a con to buy an art print of Batman or to, whatever it is that they're looking for. And if you can come in with an AI Batman art print that just looks wildly cool, the end user doesn't care. They don't care. So, at some point we have to kind of wrap our heads around the fact that this does exist. It is here. It's not going to go away. And we have to figure out how to sort of treat it. I don't think we're ever going to see anything where it's like in the style of Jim Lee and Jim Lee gets a buck. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Like, that's just not going to happen. That's that. Now there are things online that do similar things like that. Like there's places where you can buy like stock photos and stuff, and every time you buy a stock photo, whoever posted it gets a quarter or whatever. So that stuff does exist, but those guys are going in and saying, here's my thing, you can buy it, versus AI, which most of these AI things are just scraping internet sites that have automatically just allowed open sourcing for it. For example, digital webbing was like, just take it all. And you had to opt out to get your stuff taken out of the scraping. And there's tons, probably millions of websites that just have art posted that are just like, yeah, we don't care. Just come take it. Take whatever you want.
Pinterest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pinterest,
possibly. I don't know
DeviantArt.
what the list, but I'm sure it's endless.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's endless. So, the real question becomes, how much of a stickler are we going to become about using AI in any capacity, whether it's a small capacity, big? I know a lot of people who know how to use Photoshop will come in and do like a rendering, like a Batgirl rendering, right? And we all know, like, oh, look at the fingers are weird, things are weird on the image, right? But with Photoshop, you can just clean that up. That's 10 minutes. You clean up the fingers, you clean up the weird, anything that's weird, you just clean it up. And suddenly all of the keys that you're looking at for, is it AI, are essentially gone. And so that's also where we're at. So, it's, and for years we've had guys basically tracing over pictures of swimsuit models and stuff. And
Greg Horn?
that's
sorry. Oops. I said that out loud.
You know,
I thought I was on mute. I'm so
that
sorry.
stuff's existed forever, and it exists right now. I know artists right now who just take Playboy models or whatever, and then just paint over them, you know, digitally. It's like, I mean, is that art? Is that anything? So we're in a really weird period. But at the end of the day, it's not going away. So everybody's going to have to sort of decide where they are going to implement it or stand against it. But at the end of the day, there's going to be people making AI comics, AI prints, AI whatever. There are cons that are saying we're going to sort of try and, you know, mitigate this, and we don't want AI at our cons and things like that. But it's going to get harder and harder to figure out, you know, what's an AI image. So it's here, and instead of arguing for or against, you kind of have to start just figuring out, where are you with it? What's your brand going to be with or without it? And do you know, like for me with Kickstarters, right? If I have 7 variant covers and I do 6 of them that are art and 1 of them's an AI, does anyone care?
Right. True enough.
And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just literally, it will come down to the consumer. The consumer will decide, I don't want AI, I'm not buying that. Or the consumer will say, well, that's badass and I want it. And that's where we are.
Yeah, and how long before that?
That's where we're at. And that's right. And that's the thing when we're dealing with.
I'll go ahead.
Would you title a cover like this is an AI image or something? Or
I would.
You would?
I would, yeah. I would say I would be very specific, because again, there's going to be people that are interested in that. That's actually going to be something that they're thinking about. Like, what can a computer do? You know, oh, wow, that was made by a computer. That's cool. Right. And then there'll be the polar opposite people where they're like, well, that's some BS and I don't want it. And that's fine. But again, it's like, at the end of the day, it's always the consumer, whether it's pencil and ink, whether it's a digital drawing on a pad, whether it's AI, it's always the consumer at the end. And just based on watching trends of fan art being sold at cons, they do not care how it was created.
Not one bit.
True.
True. Fair enough. Mark, what are you thinking?
So, in case I get cut off, I don't know why my web internet, it looks fine, but I keep on getting frozen. So if I cut off, just carry on without me. Everybody, since everybody's been in the game for quite a while, do you guys remember this one guy who was going to conventions? This was a couple of years ago, actually about 10, 15 years ago, and he basically was ripping off other people's artwork, and he was having like different images of things he was selling. He had like a Calvin Hobbes, a Jim Lee, Mike Mignola, all different types of styles, but he was saying it was all his. Do you guys remember that guy?
No.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Rob,
Yes, Rob something or other. But that's so basically that's what AI is. It's now a tool. Is going to be a whole bunch of those guys, and it's not about that if it's a tool. It's the misuse of that tool. And people did buy that guy's stuff, but then people found out about it, like, well, this guy's stealing his stuff, so get him out, and we don't hear about him anymore. So I think that might be where it goes, where there's a ton of people who are still out there right now, who are saying that their artwork is, they take an image and then they'll swap some color on it, and they'll say, oh, it's theirs, and people will buy it, and they'll sell prints up the wazoo. You go to conventions all the time, you'll see at least one guy, at least in the major conventions, of that. So I think that's where my thoughts are. Like, it's the misuse of it, and what will people buy, and it's going to happen. It's just now it's going to be a lot faster and harder to track.
Right, and misuse has been happening forever. I was just at a con this weekend where I went by a guy's booth, and he had an old school Archangel, painting. I mean, he painted it; it's painted, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's that Jim Lee trading card, right? Like, that's literally like 100%. That's the Jim Lee trading card, and you just painted your style. And he was like, no, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, I'm 51. I've been in this business a long time. I know what I'm looking at. you want me to go find the card at this other guy's booth and show you the card? And he was kind of embarrassed, and I let him off the hook. But I'm like, none of this is new. Art theft or appropriation or whatever is not new.
Sam, how many people have said, "Oh, these are my colors, but these are based on X artist's line work," right? And we've seen that Jim Lee X-Men 1, gatefold cover, the painted, colored, how many times over at this point, right? Just like that. Yes, has the dam been burst? Yes, it has been. And just like Fish was saying earlier, when it came to Napster, we're in the Napster phase, right? I know AI is a hell of a lot more further along than what we're talking about it right now, but for public consumption, we're still in the Napster phase, okay? From Napster till now, we went from, Metallica suing and LimeWire and every other pirate site to now people throwing every snippet of a song on their TikTok or their reel or whatever, not getting charged for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So where did that transition happen where we weren't made publicly aware that they don't have to spend money on it? Because that's where Metallica came in. Who's going to be the Metallica of our little circle, right? To bring this to litigation so that way it can be navigated properly, legally, X, Y, and Z. All right. So that's one side of the
I
sword.
think it's going to be Disney. If somebody put up that all you have to do is start doing AI for Disney, and they will jump in. Because if you start selling
Disney loves to sue.
I'm going to bring up the Disney point right now.
They sued the guy for the graveyard for using
timeout. Hold on, Mark. Hold on a second. All right, forget about the Grinch for a second. When it comes to comic books, all right, printing out or getting one book ready for release every month is the gold standard. How many of us are getting one out every 4 months or every 30 years? Right? I'm lucky. I'm lucky if I could get one out every 2 months. I'm pushing for that shit. Okay, but if AI, right, here's the dangerous part, could get us to shrink that production time down to every 2 weeks, who wouldn't be putting out a book every 2 weeks?
I'm enticed. It's interesting.
Okay, it's dangerous.
Hell, I'm already at a month now.
It's dangerous, right? But fuck yeah, man. I'd increase my production value because that's just going to increase my brand awareness. All right. I'm at a point where I'm looking at fucking sites to see if I'm getting pirated, because that's my way of saying, oh, I've made it. Right. I mean, I'm not fucking strong enough to get pirated. So if you want to pirate my shit on a CD, on a USB, on whatever, I got no fucking problem. Especially if we're getting our production time down to fucking one book a month or one book every 2 weeks. Oh, God damn it. One book a fucking week, where now we can compete with almost every other media, TV, right? Live streaming, and put out stuff on a constant fucking basis. That's our problem right now. All right. We lose interaction because they're waiting 3 months for the book, and we're too busy creating the book to actually remind people that there's another book coming out.
I think
I know it's part of this topic right now, and I know it's a loaded gun. Okay, yeah, fuck yeah, it is. But if you know what, in our private chat right now, I had Calderon put up a link for an animated spot on YouTube. All right, and these were people that drew the backgrounds and they dressed up in costume and they fed it into the engine. All right, and they said, make it look like the style of X and fill in the blanks from us being in this position to that position. I've got quotes for animation for $900 a fucking second. How many of us can afford that? How many of us want a nice little animated piece so that we could put on the bumper of our Kickstarter? I'd love that. I'd love that. I know it's dangerous. I can't afford $900 a second. Would my stuff look good? Would any of our stuff look good animated? Hell fucking yeah, it would. Hell yeah. Right? So that's the dangerous part. That's the misuse. If it's our own product from the people that we paid the artists to do the backgrounds for, all right, the layouts for, or whatever else that we feed into the engine, all right, morally, ethically, whatever, it's within us. Okay? We've tried to skirt that. Is it possible? Yeah. What's going to happen 20 years from now? Right? What's that conversation going to be? Or, oh my God, this is the real dangerous part. How many more jobs are going to be created out of this that haven't even been thought of at this point?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
right? I mean,
look,
my fear is we're not long from that point where the freaking AIs are just like, hey, make me a comic book about XYZ and it spits it out in seconds. Make me an animated series about XYZ meets, whatever. And that's going to take us out of the circuit altogether.
But here's all right. Now here's where a few more legalities come into place. And let's look at what's going on right now with the writer strike. Okay? You got writers right now, they're saying, you know what, this strike is lasting longer than a mini room, right? And a mini room is where they put together a number of pilots, like 2 or 3 pilots, and they get 2 or 3 writers together. And that has been the main target of this writer strike. All right. They want to make sure that either A, the mini room is eliminated, or B, they get paid extra for being in the mini room because they're writing more than one episode, even though the series may not be picked up. So that's when I'm bringing this back to the whole legality of all of this, right? This is going to be contested at some point or another. We know that. Now, once that is contested in the court of law and there is some sort of legal basis foundation for us to operate from that point forward, there's going to be a ton of people that jump on it. And if we are not in a position to adapt, utilize this in some way, or innovate, we're going to be left behind. All right? We're going to be Diamond, who has ended up taking a backseat to Lunar, Universal, and whichever new thing is coming out. We're going to be the New York City TLC Commission when Uber comes into play in our town. All right? Either we adapt or we die. Either we innovate or somebody else is going to eat our lunch. So, yes, do I want to be honorable and noble? Of course. Do I got a team to pay for? And that's another thing. How many of us have inconsistent art styles from book to book, right? How many times have we had an artist flake on us, right? Or take too long on us because they're still with us, but you know what? They're working on a higher project that's paying them more money. We're suffering in the long term because now this book that we've invested in is not going to come out until X amount of weeks later, all right? And the rest of our production is suffering for it. The rest of our revenue to generate is suffering for it to pay more of the team members down the road. So can this lead to some sort of consistency? Possibly. We're not there yet, right? That's the big that's the big talking point. We're not there yet. So don't say no, but never say never.
Right. Now, you need to screen your people better. I've worked with the same artist for 12 years, so
That's great.
I mean,
it's great. But it has happened. It has happened. And
no, it does happen. It does happen. I mean, listen, and she can leave me in a couple of weeks. Whenever she feels like that. At this point, I'm happy. I can't say I've had a long-standing relationship,
right?
With all of my artists, so it's all good. But as far as AI is concerned, I mean, like I said, the things that interest me are the things that Wilson was mentioning earlier. Is not so much using it to replace us, but using it as as an assistant. It's a hammer as far as I'm concerned. It's a tool, right? I letter my books. If I could get the damn AI to put down the word balloons for me, I'd be happier than a pig in shit, as they say, right? I mean, just to do that, because that would save me, a boatload of time. Just I can lay down the words, and if it would just slap in the word balloons for me, my goodness.
Just the amount of time I spend figuring out where to break those lines so that it'll make a good shape.
Right.
That's so much freaking time right there that I could get a couple more pages drawn if it wasn't for that.
How many people?
Exactly.
How many artists still use a light box? Is that cheating, or is that part of the production process? Right. How many times have we heard Neil Adams say in prior interviews he was not afraid to go out there and take pictures of the cityscape and utilize those cityscapes in the backgrounds of his images? Is that cheating or is that not cheating? I'm sure at his time, his contemporaries were saying, you're fucking cheating. And he said that.
Well, look, one of my favorite stories from Louis Small Jr., just real quick, he was working for Neil Adams. He was drawing in his studio. He has a picture of something sitting next to him. I think it was a lion. He was trying to draw it out. He's having a hard time. Neil walks in the room, sees him. So what the hell are you doing? He says, why are you having a hard time? He took the line, he put it on the light box, he slapped it on it, trace it, do what you got to do, and then you keep working on the next one. You got to make money. Go. And that's what it was. It was just move. Don't hold back. You understand? And unfortunately, that's what we're going to be at with this technology. It's going to be move.
I wanted to add one
because
more
we're going to get left behind.
100%. 100% we're going to be left behind. How many times have people used a parallel or utilized, manga as oh my God, we got to keep up with them. They're pumping out books. They have a whole team of people, right? They have a whole studio putting that stuff out so that way they can pump it out on a weekly basis. Could this even the odds at some point or another? We don't know, right? The main phrase, we don't know. Let's see. I know I'm talking, the dangerous stuff out there, but the possibilities have not been fully realized yet.
Yep.
Or the negatives. The negatives haven't been fully realized yet.
No.
Right.
But it's going to be months. It's going to be months before we actually know what's going on and how it's going on. But it's going to be interesting to see.
And
all right, I think
people are making comics. Like I say, there could be a slew of people making comics. But we know one of the main problems is actually selling the comic. It's the next thing. And AI is not going to solve that for us.
Yeah, but AI removes your cost. That's the thing. If you have to spend $2,000 to make a comic and now you don't, your cost is gone. So that's a huge element that we're talking about here, because that means an artist lost his job if it's being produced solely by artificial intelligence somehow.
Right. And the other real issue that we're not even scraping on is quality of the work.
Right.
Yeah. The written word, story structure, all that stuff is just going to get lost. You can say, I can put it into ChatGPT and it'll give me a story. No, it's not. I mean, a good writer with a good AI program, who's also a good editor, can probably crank out a lot of stuff because they could go in and fix it. Okay. I mean, they can go and tell AI, make this story based on these prompts, whatever. And they'll go in and they'll fix whatever they got to fix. Right. And they'll make it to a point where if they're good, you're not going to be able to tell AI even touched it. The only way you're going to be able to tell is at the speed that is being produced. Right. And there's some dudes who are really fast. They're authors out there who are doing a novel a month. Right. I mean, but if they're knocking out a novel a week, that's how we're all going to be like, we're going to have to give that person a stink eye.
And some of them have ghostwriters that sign NDAs that can't say that they are not the person really writing that book. Oops.
Exactly.
So all of this really boils down to just the ethical element, right? And the ethical element, like we talked about, is in some ways being removed because AI is already elevating itself to a point where it can learn whatever you want to tell it. So if I want to feed it images of Critter and be like, hey, here's 1,000 images of Critter, here's every page of Critter we've ever done, this is your base, and you stick to your base. Right. Now what happens if I produce a Critter comic AI? It's all from me, right? So where are we at that point with the ethical problem?
Right. Well, it's like, here's the
studio who knows how to manipulate AI imagery to do that for you, so you could focus on other things.
Yeah, well, and that's what's happening even now. There are dudes now in Hollywood selling their face to say, "Hey, Disney, you can use my face forever. Just digital, put it on a digital body.
Take my voice, take my face."
What happens? What happens on the day that Marvel and DC sign up with one of these AI companies and say, "Listen, take the entire library, scan it all in, go do what you got to do, and we're gonna go out and we're going to start producing comics that way. We're going to start. You have every style you could imagine. All that stuff is work for hire. That's
we're bringing Jim Lee back to the X-Men without Jim Lee.
Right.
Exactly.
Ultimately, the market
Arthur Adams is going to be able to do 5 books a month.
Right. The market is what's going to end up deciding.
That's right.
Right. And whichever
like we talked about,
the
general market doesn't give a shit how it's made.
They don't care. That's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's really the hard part for anyone to swallow is that the general public doesn't give a shit about how it's made. They just want it made and they want it available and they want it to look cool and then they want to put it on their wall. That's it. That's the chain of
cheap.
and cheap as possible. Yes. Cheap as possible.
People have always wanted being an artist to be easy. Like that's why they're like, oh man, I wish I could do that. They don't want to put 20,000 hours into their job like I have. They just want it to be easy. Click a button and they can do it.
Yeah.
And now they can do that and click a button and say, oh look, I'm an artist. I made this.
Right.
You didn't make shit. You typed in, a loose idea, but it's easy now, and everybody gets to feel like they're special now without putting in all the hard work to get there.
Right.
And the last part of this is you can make an AI comic, but can you sell that AI comic?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I think you can.
I'll tell you why. Because the AI comic that I told you about, it was on Kickstarter. It made like $9,000.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit!
And that was just a
a lot of
first-time
people
thing out of
just
the canon.
curious.
Yeah.
Just
That's what I'm saying.
want to
There's a
know what it's
curiosity.
going to look like.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's
Again,
gonna probably be like
we're 6
go
months
ahead,
in
go
on AI, right? I mean, like we're not even. We've they talk about the tip of the iceberg. This is the ice cube on the top of the iceberg, is where we're at right now.
I know a lot of people that have signed up for the Photoshop beta.
Yeah.
A lot of people. They won't say it out loud.
And now that it's incorporated, what's going to stop anybody from using it all the time that's using Photoshop?
Yep.
I mean,
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. We kind of beat the subject to death, so we're gonna move on real quick. We're gonna try to get through these campaigns because I want everybody to make a few bucks, right? Which would be fantastic. We're gonna start with first man in. Mr. Fish Lee, you want me to play this video?
yeah, go ahead.
Was this created by AI?
No, this is all me. I did everything but edit it.
I've seen his production pictures. Oh yeah.
The most savage of them all are the Cro-Magnons. The Cro-Magnons are so savage they're kept as slaves by the other races, forced into servitude. If you deem too stupid or too feral to be of any use as a slave, you're fed alien reasons, might die in pieces. Caw, the Cro-Magnon, is fed to the leaders of fledgling. He has fought every day of his life for survival, and it has honed him into the deadliest warrior in the entire galaxy. Follow along, watch as anybody who challenges and dies by his will, because the mighty Caw falls to no man.
You can cut it there.
Hi, Mr. Fish Comics, the fastest working man in Indy Comics. And you may or may not have heard that I've got a Kickstarter coming May 16th to June 2nd for my new book, The Mighty Caw, The Cro-Magnon. It is an amazing story of this avian barbarian savage from beyond the stars. And oh, it's so exciting. And in every issue, it's going to be action-packed, pulse-pounding. It's just going to be mayhem, baby. We're slaying monsters. We're saving bucks and princesses. It is nothing but fun. And I can't wait for you to get your hot little hands on it. What's that? Wait a minute. You've already got a printed issue? How is that? The Kickstarter hasn't even ran yet. Let me tell you, baby, your Uncle Fishy is Johnny on the spot. They don't call me the fastest working man in Indie Comics for nothing. I don't like sending books to Kickstarter until the book is finished and ready to go. And I already got printed copies. This isn't a mock-up, baby. This isn't playing pretend, baby. This is the real deal. This is the finished comic. Other than adding a couple of letters to the letters page, waiting for the Kickstarter to put a thank you page in here for everybody that backs it, and a small tweak to the colors that I'm going to make, this book is done. The files are at the printer, ready to go. So as soon as the Kickstarter is done, Kickstarter sends me the funds. I place the order. Wham, bam. They're getting shipped directly out to you. They ain't even coming to me first, except for the sketch covers. Everything else is going straight out to the backers because I want to cut out all the middlemen. I want to cut out all the waste. If you want to get awesome swag and T-shirts and stuff, I've got a shop for that you can go check that out now and be supportive if you want to. I'll leave a link in the comments. But the Kickstarter is going to be the book and a poster, and it's going to get straight out to you. I'm all about getting the books out quickly, and I'm so excited about this. I want you to get Caw as quickly as you possibly can. So I'm doing everything I can to have it ready to go. So if you want to check it out and you want to see this awesome new flying barbarian comic, you need to go check it out. Go MrFish.com. Uncle Fishy lives.
Nice.
Thank you. Probably the crappiest video I've ever done. But
How many takes did that do?
That was one take, which is why I repeat myself a lot.
I love that energy.
That's what I do in all of my TikToks, and I get myself hyped up in the morning and film like 20 in a row, and then edit them and get them all ready to go, so I don't have to do it every single day. But this Kickstarter is lean and mean. It's down to just the books and posters. When we hit 3,000, I'm unlocking the Savage Source book as an add-on. I just released an extra add-on with a poster and a variant cover for a barbarian collage I've been working on with all of our favorite barbarians, and fans have been shouting out different barbarians over the last week or so that I've added in. And but yeah, it's ready to go. It's like from the moment I woke up with this idea stuck in my head and sketched it out to 30 days later, I had the book finished, a client's book finished, the Kickstarter ready to go, a Patreon launched, and a Teespring store ready to go with merchandise. Like this just ruptured like a fire hydrant in my head, and I can't shut it off. And so I had to get it out there. And I actually would like, if I can get enough people that like it, that would like to support it, like over on Patreon, I could get out at least 12 issues a year, no problem, by myself. But it's getting people to trust that, because so much of indie comics, is done by people that are also working a day job and coaching soccer and have a family and a healthy work-life balance and don't spend 16 hours a day working like I do, and have other stuff going on. This is my full-time job. Like if I'm not doing my own books, I'm illustrating somebody else's. And I would like to move people over to that so I can just put out books. Because this whole Kickstarter time, that's half the reason I'm running a short Kickstarter. I can't really do anything else. This takes so much out of me, doing all the different podcasts and putting out all the posts and, and trying to hook up with other people and do cross promotion and being online. Hey, it's your Uncle Fishy. Go check it out. Go MrFish.com. I'm freaking worn out at the end of the day.
Yeah. How many days was this campaign?
17.
17. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, well, I'm friends with Lori Foster from Unlikely Hero Studios, and she, like all of us, noticed that lull of like 2 weeks in the middle of her campaigns, so she just decided to try cutting that 2 weeks out, and she was still hitting the same kind of goals. So I tried it on my last 2 Green Zone Kickstarters and did fine. So I tried it on this one too. I don't think I was ready for the amount of awesome books that were going to come out at the same time in May, because there have just been so many cool books out right now, which has made it a little bit tougher than it usually is. But it's an awesome book. It's fun. It's like Saturday morning cartoons. Man, it's not complicated. Ka has 3 major tenets. Ka fears no man, Ka bows to no man, and Ka falls to no man. And that tells you everything you need to know about this dude.
Does he have a Lords of Light catchphrase?
No, those are pretty much it. He says that a lot. Okay. Those 3.
Nice. But it looks awesome. How many variant covers did you do? Have done?
I just put out the 4th one, not counting the sketchbook. Which I mean it is a variant, but it's but counting the sketchbook, there's 5 covers.
All right, cool.
And we're looking at PG-13-ish.
Yeah. I mean, normally I keep everything like all ages, and it doesn't mean that it can't be romantic or action-packed or people can't die. I just, don't usually have people holding their intestines and stuff, But that may or may not happen in this book. And there's a couple people with their heads turned around the wrong way or on the other end of the room from their bodies. But, it's not horrible, but it definitely isn't for like the tiny tots. I'm not showing this to my grandbabies yet. I'm gonna give them a year or 2.
Nice.
I love the fact that you got like a source book. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Oh man, as I was writing up the entry for Ka in the source book and like explaining like how he got his name, I made myself freaking cry. And I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a winner." So we got to hit that 3,000 mark so that I can put it out there, and it's going to be good. I'm excited.
Very cool.
So it's a unlockable like a feature, right? So it's not unlocked yet, right?
Yeah, it's not unlocked yet, but we just went up like $100 in the last like 10 minutes. So We're gonna get there
Oh
pretty
yeah, I
soon.
see it. Yeah,
All right,
definitely.
All right, nice. Listen, man, it looks like a great book. I mean, it looks awesome. I mean, I love the fact you got Cerebus and Black Star and you know,
Everybody
everybody
who's in that vein. Yes.
Oh man,
Yeah.
everybody has been kicking out such awesome suggestions, and they're
Mhm.
like, and I was drawing that traditionally on an actual like 11x17 sheet of bristle board, and so like I ran out of room. I couldn't just like shrink it like I can digitally and add more guys in. I ran out of actual page, but I'm seriously thinking like I've got so many suggestions already. I've got one ready to go for the next issue now.
So who's not in it that you would have loved to have in that piece?
Oh man, like the Barbarians, like the two muscle-bound brothers from the Barbarians movie.
One
in
of
the
them
80s.
passed away recently.
Those two dudes.
Yeah.
Those dudes are awesome. And there's a whole lot of other characters that like fill the Barbarian role in other stories that I really wanted to put in there, like Chewbacca and Drax and unconventional barbarians. Or
you're from the future?
Me personally?
No. The name was, I think the name of the movie was You're from the Future.
Oh,
remember the guy that did Captain America? What's his name?
Yeah.
The motorcycle helmet Captain America.
Yeah.
He did a barbarian flick where he was from the future and he is raised like a barbarian, but then he's running through, the futuristic spaceship towards the end of the flick. Was it Your or was it Tor?
Oh, I don't remember. Listen, bro.
All of the names are just sounds. I mean, hell, his name is Caw in my book. It's literally just a noise.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to remember. I can't keep track of random
That's
names.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool.
All right. Next up, Blimp. All right. Jason, Noel, you guys are. You want me to play this video?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Nice. Who did the video?
I did.
Oh, good job, man. I really like it.
I hear an echo.
Better.
All right. Test. Yeah. So yeah, Blimp number 1. This is our. We have issues 1 through 3. I wrote the story. Noel Serrato did the artwork for it, and we're about halfway through the Kickstarter.
Cool. How many days did you set it for?
30.
30. Okay.
But now I'm kind of interested what a shorter campaign might be, but I don't know. We'll have to try that out.
Yeah.
Because there is
You
that,
could have your
that
like
empty
campaign
space in the middle.
And I still hit that this time, which really surprised me. I didn't on the last 2.
You had an empty space again this time, or no?
Oh yeah, I had like 3 or 4 days where I didn't get a pledge at all in the middle, which was unusual. The last 2 didn't have that problem, but
Interesting.
That's absolutely what's going on with this one. I think it was like the first day. After the first day, we hit a wall or something. It was weird. It was very weird. But we get little trinkles here and there. So that's still.
Are you guys
good.
noticing if you get more sales from doing live streams as opposed to taking out ads or not?
It depends on the stream. Like,
Okay.
I've got a lot of friends that we all have podcasts and we have a lot of fans in common. So, like, going on their shows might get me one more backer. I've got more backers just being here today because it's a new audience of people that don't see me all the time than I have gotten on the last, like, 4 shows I've been on the last 4 days.
True that.
Yeah, we're
True that.
I think we're pretty much, me and Noel we're posting like every day, just trying to get it out into front of people's faces. And that's
I think the podcast really do help out too, because sometimes you go over post. Like if you're trying to post, just maybe settle down for like a day or two. We're me and Jason, we're kind of like still used to like, hey, should we just post more like each day? I think we should just like do a post, take a break a little bit, do another post like in the next day or 2 days later. But podcasts, I think, since we just got off another podcast a couple of days ago, we did find a little more eyes on our campaign, and we got a couple more pledges. So yeah, podcasts, they definitely do work. More you get yourself out.
So you guys up to issue 3? Is this the series? How many more issues do you expect to be in it?
Well, right now we're up to like issue 6.
Yeah,
issue 6 plus. Yeah, and plus the story of Blythe kind of goes back to the early 1990s too. And Jason, if you want to talk a little bit about the book, so you don't give a lot away, but still kind of like a cliff note about the book.
All the secrets. We want all the secrets. Go.
Yeah, definitely. There's some stuff that
obviously it focuses on the character Blythe, who is a cat god. He basically is rivaling Lucifer for dominion of what we call the dark, which is aka hell. And in the midst of a bunch of action and gore, I guess, and what Noel said, zombies and demons and everything else in there, we also have a love story too. So it's basically the struggle in hell, though, basically is what it is. Noel, I mean, you Noel's been actually writing the later stories, so
right, it deals a lot about politics in hell and stuff. But the story that we're presenting right now is like a recap, though. It's a 10-year anniversary from 2013, that when we started the story, there was still kind of the fans that Jason had already accumulated over the years prior to me working with Jason. He actually had this character in a book called Scattered, which basically the company's named after Scattered Comics. And that the book, actually not the book, but the actual character debuted in 1992, I believe. So from there, it was one of those mainstay characters that was kind of incorporated in his story of Scattered, that was in and out, but was kind of an antagonist to the story, that really pushed the story up tempo and kind of got the demon side of what was going on in his story. So the story that's being campaigned now is a look back to how he started, why he's in the position he's at, why there's a struggle in the dark, and his relationship with the people that's around him. So that's basically where we're at right now, from issue 1, issue 3, which this campaign is. We already have issue 4, 5, and I believe 6 done already too. So, but right now we're just doing the 1 through 3 recap.
Nice. Okay, cool. So, I mean, what type of release schedule are you looking at? Twice a year, 3 times a year?
So, I think what we're going to do is on this campaign for these 3 issues, and then next year we'll have another campaign for the later issues, and then after that, I don't know. That'll be up to Noel's drawing schedule. We're also working on some Shadowhunter books as well on the side. We're constantly writing and drawing new books.
Right.
So yeah, I guess it just depends on what our schedules are going to be like. But it's a regular ongoing series. So
Gotcha. Now you guys,
right,
you
and
guys like fish?
everything. Yeah, definitely,
I'm sorry,
definitely.
go ahead, Noah.
No, sorry. Like basically, like all the characters that Jason has developed over the years, they're all in one universe, and he's, like you said, he has the Shadowhunters he's working on as well, and interconnects with past campaigns like Lilith and Mara, and I believe we came out with like a Shadowhunters like one shot for every one of the characters that are featured in Shadowhunters. And Blinth kind of fits in like the story in Hell at the time, but everything really does connect in a way. If you read any of Jason's books in the past, that you would see like some of them, there's little hints here and there, snippets that you're like, okay, I've seen this before. I've seen this right here. Oh, that's where that's from. It's a very neat story, very cool story, intertwined with a lot of like backstabbing, love, lots of fighting scenes, which is great. I love drawing a lot of when he gives me like some of those story arcs where he's like, okay, I need you to draw 3 pages of nonstop violence. So I'm like, yeah, I love that. I love that stuff, bloods and guts.
I had trouble trying to write that. Okay, he hits them hard here, or how did just draw some pages of fighting. I don't know.
Right, and working with Jason, he really lets me like kind of improvise a lot with his writing. When I did work with him, as far as when he's writing and I'm drawing, because I kind of took over the writing duties on this book. But when he's doing like Shadowhunters, he just gives me like a couple panels, and I just kind of ask him, hey, can I throw in this? Can I throw in that? And it ends up being an extra 2 pages, and he's like, oh, I love it. It's cool. I like working with writers that actually allow myself to actually kind of improvise and kind of what is that called? Like just
let you breathe, let you breathe, let you do what you do.
It's nice to have that freedom, and you end up with a better finished product in the end. When I can really give you my best, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Comedians go through that too when they're on stage as well. Like improv. That's the word I'm thinking. Improv, right? At the moment when you're doing something just gets you right then and there. Like an idea just pops up. You draw it on the page, and kind of like I show the what I'm doing to Jason. He's like, I love it. Go with it. Go with it. And I love that with writers that allow you to like improvise at that, with their writing too.
So when you're taking over a project, were there like rules that you had to follow, or just like go forth and do what you want to do?
In this particular one, it's it's kind of tough because of what happens in the story and his background. What? Because I can't really say that much about it because kind of a spoiler. But the thing is like yeah, there is a simple rules that you have to, this person's named here. This is a story of his past, so it's kind of like I'm filling in the holes a little bit. So I kind of asked him like, hey, what can I do? What can I not do? And there's this little bit here, a little bit there, but it's really, really open. And he's like, hey, go ahead and start creating. It's cool. And that was great because of the character itself. Blimp, the character is kind of unique because I don't know how many times I've seen a picture of Anubis. I've seen pictures of Egyptian lore, Egyptian gods, but everybody sees a black cat every so often. But you put those two together and you get this simple, like that picture right there. You have it right there. You get this simple, like anybody could think about that, but nobody's really put that on. Put that on paper. So I'm looking at that, and it's a really unique IP. I'm looking at that. He's like, there's so much I could play with this, and incorporate not only himself and the staff, because that is the staff of Anubis, but the cats as well. So they're kind of intertwined with the staff as well. And who are they? and I could play around their origins and kind of create some characters as well. I got like a lot of leeway of creating new characters and playing some old ones as well. So that's a treat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He really brought an army of these demon cats into the story. I mean, I always had some of them in there, but he made his own with them. It's really awesome.
Yeah, no, it looks awesome. I mean, you guys have what, another 14 days? Oh, you met your goal a while ago. All right.
Yeah, 14 days.
All right, nice. I mean, listen, and the campaign looks awesome.
Thank you, brother.
I mean, when yeah, okay. I mean, does the first arc end in that with the 6th issue, or is it longer?
The first two issues are well, Jason could tell you the first issue itself wasn't supposed to be a comic book. It was more like a tryout for myself.
Gotcha.
He was bringing me on board to continue his series of Scattered because, as Jason said before in different conversations, he was going to go ahead and he had other projects that he wanted to keep his eye on and start drawing more. I believe like he had his comic called Panda Days, and he was really focused on Shadowhunters. And he needed somebody to kind of take over for Scattered. Jason, you take over, didn't you?
Yeah. So I was at the time I was doing Scattered and another book called Panda Days, and then there was Shadowhunters that was starting up, and I was just kind of running myself thin. So I loved Noel's artwork. I'd seen it before, and I was like, you know what? I think I'd want him to go ahead and try and draw one of these books, and I can focus on some of the other ones. And so I was like, he was like, okay, I'm down. I'm like, okay, let's give you a test page. Let's see how you work with, because sometimes you don't know if you're gonna work good with someone else until you actually do something together. And I didn't want to like throw right into the book project and find out, this is not gonna work. So we did this 10-page test comic of Blinth, and I wasn't really gonna do anything with it, and I just wrote it out, kind of fleshed out some ideas of the character, and had him work on it, and then as soon as the 10 pages were done, I was like, wow, this is really cool. This could be a comic. We should do something with this. I'm like, but 10 pages is not enough. So I'm like, Noel, so I want to do another short story, like a 12-pager, and we'll just merge them together and make this like a comic book. And he's like, all right, cool. And so that's where the first book was born. Right. And it was originally called Scattered Origins and Blinth. And it was so popular so quickly and got so many fans excited that we're like, maybe we just continue this as a series. And so then we got to work and started writing out how the series would work as an ongoing. And so that's where this was born.
All right. Yeah, sounds awesome. I mean, like I said, it looks awesome. I mean, it looks great. All right, cool.
Thank
you. I mean, like I said, you guys are well on your way. So, I mean, you got another 14 days. I think you're going to get over that hump.
Yeah, I hope so. Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't think you have to hope so. It's going to happen.
Oh, thank you.
And it's cool, too, because it is a 10-year anniversary. So you could actually see, as an artist myself, you could see my evolution in art, because it's like 10 years from that day to like now. My style has kind of like is the evolution of that whole thing. Plus the writing has got better. Not saying that Jason's story wasn't good. I'm just saying like the writing has been like, there's more depth into that whole story. So it's fun, man. It's been a fun ride.
Nice. Okay, cool. Listen, man, like I said, it looks incredible. And, I hate to do it, but we got to move on. Mr. Tom, what do we got? We got no video. I know that.
No, we got no video. No, I'm over the video thing. The video thing is.
It does happen after a while. I mean, let's see. You've only created 36 of them, so I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I ran out of energy for the videos, so I was like, no, we're not gonna do videos anymore, or at least very rarely do we do video. But this is Goth Day, guys. This is our third issue for Goth Day. It's become an annual event for us. It was sort of just a fun thing that we did back in 2020 for our 10-year anniversary, where we found out that Goth Day was a real thing, first of all, and May 22nd is World Goth Day. And so we modified some of our characters to be their sort of goth alternatives. And we just put out some covers, and people liked it so much. They were like, oh, you can do this again next year. And I was like, well, I don't want to just like put out books with covers again. So if we're going to do this, we have to find a way to elevate this. And the way you elevated it was to actually create a story, create a world for these modified characters to exist in. And that's what we did. And it became also a huge success. And so I was like, well, okay, we'll make this an annual thing. So CB Zane, that's the art that you're seeing there. CB Zane and I have been doing this since the start. Gat Melvin is on the colors here. And basically it's, this goth world is kind of this mesh of old world architecture and meeting new world stuff. So there's always sort of this clash of old ideas and new ideas throughout the series, which I guess it's a series now once you have 3 issues. So it's really unique storytelling. The first issue, well, each one is kind of its own story. You can really read these individually. There is an overarching narrative throughout them, but each one sort of stands alone as we build this goth world with all these different characters. This particular story starts off with the question, what does creation look like? And so we kind of, like, the first issue was, again, going back to the creation idea. What if instead of let there be light, it was let there be darkness? And that was sort of the theme through the first volume. And now here we're going back to sort of some of that creation. Like, what does creation really look like? What does it really mean? How does it work? Talking about how sometimes you have to destroy things in order to create things, on and on and on. And then we use our characters kind of within that framework to kind of explore that idea. So these are the first cover that you saw. That's your basic cover with the logo. That's CB Zane and Gat Melvin. So Rookie there, that's our goth version of Rookie. She's one of Critter's partners in our Critter superhero book. And then the floating character there is Marie Antoinette with her guillotine. And of course, there's Marie just on her own. So we did a historical fiction book with Marie Antoinette a few years ago, and this is actually her first return to pages of Big Dog Ink since we've done that. And that is MR Gunn on that art. Then we have our punk rock monster summoner, Scarlet. She is from our book called Kaiju Epic. This is Joel Gomez, who does a lot of Coffin Comics stuff, including La Muerta. And this is the second cover he's done for us, and we've got him signed up to come back for Princesses versus Zombies in November as well. Then we have Catnip. This is really kind of where it started. Catnip is our goth version of Critter. So that was the first character that we ever really did a goth version of. And when we showed her out to the public, she actually won an award that year for best new design character. And we were kind of off to the races. But when I needed to do Catnip for this year, I was like, I want to do something different than we've done with her in the past 3 years. And Asher B, when I first met her a number of years ago, like, good Lord, like 6-7 years ago, she was posting those black light type of images. And I was like, hey, I want that. And I want you to put that on covers. And she was like, yeah, I can do that. So she did a bunch of them for Penny for Your Soul. She did a couple others along the way. And I was like, Asher, it's time to bring this back. And so we got our Catnip cover. Nice. And this is Lakeland from the second issue, which was sort of a Princesses versus Zombies issue, blended with a little bit of, Little Mermaid there. Our princess mermaid is not exactly the innocent type, as you can see all the victims in the water there with the boat behind her. So there's Rookie's her own cover. This is Mars Foong. This is a brand new artist that we found. I've been watching her for a long time, and I was like, hey, it's time to get you to do some work. She was like, yeah, let's go. And it came out great, and she's already set up to do another cover for us for the BD13 anthology in July. And then the last one is Mary Magdalene. So this is from Penny for Your Soul, which is a theology book about the end of days taking place in Las Vegas. So this is our goth Mary Magdalene, Narsilio Sousa, Alenia Di Napoli, and that's it. Those are your variant covers. And then the only other thing we have available there is Spin-Off Comics, which is the first appearance of Catnip technically this is where Goth Day started in 2020 because we put out the cover with her on it. But then later in the year, we actually did this story with C.B. Zane and Wendy Shaner. It's a big 60-page anthology. But this is the official first appearance of Catnip in a story, first appearance of this goth world, and so on. And we've got a handful of those left. So if you didn't get one, we can hook you up. And then there's combos. There's the Goth Day version. There's the black and white edition. If you've never read the book before, you can do the quick catch up, which is right below. You can get all 3 issues in one pledge, digital or physical, however you want to do it. Crossing the Veil, that's the entire set of covers. That's all of the covers plus a bonus cover. That bonus bottom right is by C.B. Zane. It's a little catnip cover with her ears, which is a part of a Critter set that we did a few years ago. So we added that one in. So that's just a free bonus cover. You buy all the others, you get a free bonus cover shown in. And then the rest is basically just your fancy stuff. Everything's available in holofoil. We have a few available in metal. And then we've got some of the old school prints. The original designs that we did in 2020 will be prints, and that's it. It's a really simple campaign. It's only 9 days. When we do these sort of special days, we've even done them 24 hours before. But this is a 9-day campaign. We've got 4 days left. You can get all of the regular, well, not all, but you can get most of the Big Dog Ink stuff here as well. So like we said, Catnip is the goth version of Critter. So if you want to check out Critter in her natural habitat, you can get the trade paperback for Critter, trade paperback for Ursa Minor. You can get Kaiju Epic. You can get Princesses versus Zombies. These are all our characters and stories in their natural worlds. But if you like them in the goth world, you will probably have some interest in them in their normal worlds as well. Joan of Arc, Steampunk, Angel. So yeah, and then there's the prints. These were the designs from the original 2020 books that you can get as prints. That's the original Catnip. Mary. And Naomi by Nia Rufino. So yeah, simple, straightforward, easy, fast campaign. It will end Wednesday night.
Cool.
Very cool.
I saw it said you funded in 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. And we have unlocked one stretch goal. One stretch goal is already unlocked. We've got another one there. Typically, we unlock 3 for these campaigns. So if we should get to 11,000, which shouldn't be a problem, we'll unlock that one, and we'll have a third stretch goal available as well.
Very cool, man. I mean, listen, like I said, you can't argue with this sort of thing.
It's been fun. It's interesting to take characters and modify them and see what else you can do with them. We do our Legend of Oz: The Wicked West, which is a Western reimagining of The Wizard of Oz. So, I'm not new to the idea of how do you modify characters into something completely polar opposite of what they were originally intended to be. And it's been a lot of fun to do. And like I said, the fans have really embraced it. We're probably going to finish it at issue 5. 2025 will be our 15-year anniversary. That'll be issue 5 for this. So we're probably going to wrap it up with issue 5 and just kind of say, hey, we've done our due diligence for this this type of book and this idea, and then we'll figure out something else to do in the future. But it has been a lot of fun.
All right, cool. Now, you said this is a 9-day campaign. So how many campaigns are you looking to do this year?
This is already our 5th of the year. And we're doing another one in July. That'll be our next one. And then we'll have July, then we'll have September, and then we'll have November. And that'll be our year.
Okay. All right. Cool. Are you any of the other ones longer than this?
Yeah, our typical campaign is 3 weeks. We got rid of the 4-week thing. We don't do that anymore. Everything is typically 3 weeks. When we do these kind of specialty things, we always do. Like I said, I've done 24-hour campaigns, 3-day campaigns. I've been all over the map with sort of testing how Kickstarter works and what you can do with it. So with this, we just wanted to kind of wrap it up, because it's Goth Day, which is just 1 day, but we don't want to have a 24-hour campaign either. So not with this type of a book. So we just let it run to the end of the month. And then that gives us a nice gap month of June to kind of get ready for whatever we do in July and then the rest of the year. But there's really no limitations to what is possible on this platform. We did a 24-hour. Well, it was supposed to be a 24-hour campaign for a special day called Bikini Day back in 2020. We launched the campaign. It was one of those like make 100 things that they do. So we had 100 of the books. So we launched the campaign. I hung around for about 10 minutes after we launched it, and I was like, well, I'm going to go take my walk around the lake, and then I'll be back. It takes me about an hour to do the walk. I got back, we had sold out of everything. So it was supposed to be 24 hours, but it was all gone in an hour. So you can really do some amazing stuff and things that might even take you by surprise. But the real question becomes, like, if you're doing, and this is where we were, like, if we're doing 15,000 in 4 weeks, and we know that we have 2 weeks in the middle that are just sort of, pointless, can I do 15,000 in 3 weeks? And so we started to try that out, and the answer was yes. So what I'm really discovering is that you don't have to do these for 4 weeks. I wouldn't suggest automatically switching to like 2 weeks, but 3 weeks, you can do the equivalent of what you would do in 4, and you really have less of that middle period of the campaign that's just kind of junk that we all are aware happens. So if you're new, stick with the 4, but eventually see what you can do, see if you can shorten it up, and you'll probably end up making the same money.
Yep. Very nice. Tom. Always
So
impressive.
Tom, look what I came across.
Oh my God. Is that that's one of the trading cards from War of the Independents. Yeah. Where did that come from?
I still have my stack. It was just right next to me. I was like, I wonder if it's in here. I still got my stack of War of the Independence cards.
Yeah. Yeah, War of the Independents, man. That book with all the girls is supposed to be coming out pretty soon. I think it's issue 5. And Critter makes an appearance in there, just sort of because the story was written, but Dave Ryan was like, "Yeah, I'll put her in there," and I was like, "Cool, man." So she's just like a background character in there, but yeah, that was cool.
Mine as well. She's in there somewhere.
So, talking about yours, Mark, give us your pitch real quick.
So this story is about 2 warring alien races fighting over a newly discovered power source. The war finds itself to the planet Earth, and the humans gain abilities as a result. This story was written 30 years ago with pencils 20 years ago, inked by Peter Palmiotti, who's Sherry's brother. It's full 110 pages, was all done way back when, and it took me this long to finally get it out.
All right, cool. We've had you on before, so but this, you've already been fulfilling, right?
Yeah, this is a story. I have, as I showed at the beginning, I already have my book. Book's already done. All first 22 pages, so we're trying to make enough to make the second 22 pages. But the story's already done, inked. Peter's working on it, and if he's watching right now, Pete, get back to work, finish it up. What's funny is that he took the entire stack of 110 pages. So as throughout the years, he just every once in a while used to pull a page. So there's some pages of issue 5 that's inked, some pages of issue 4 because he didn't do it in order. So I'm always like, you got to get it in order so we can move it on. It's like, yeah, but when we get an opportunity, let's get it done. So then when this opportunity came for issue 1, he finally finished like 1 or 2 inks now. And we finally got it printed this past year.
All right, very nice, very nice. All right, cool. Listen, I guess I got to catch up to you at a show sometime to pick up my copy.
Yeah, it's right here, waiting for you.
I know. I'll take the 9.8. All right, very nice, very nice. All right, and I'm gonna throw up one last campaign. There we go. It's all right. It's my own, because why not? I'm gonna play the video real quick because it cracks me up.
Hello, my friends. As you can see, we have a new Kickstarter where I go into dream and become an emperor. So buy a book or a digital copy and join the adventure. Bye.
That sounds very familiar, that voice.
Yes, it's very familiar. Yes, that was Daffy playing Oswald.
So is she now the official voice of Oswald?
No, I've had this conversation where I said, listen, it's fantastic, right? But if I can get the person that I want to get to actually do the voice, which is Peter Dinklage, that's she's gonna get replaced. But it's kind of hard to get Peter.
I always felt he had a British accent for some reason. I always envisioned him talking.
Yeah, no, he's American.
You can have an American who has a British accent.
No, I know, but I'm just saying he's American. But yeah, man. I mean, here's my campaign. If anyone, you can send the show notes. It's about Oswald. He's a magical mouse. He's going into Dream. He becomes an emperor. He does all this cool stuff. I have some pages up here. The book's already complete, so I tend to turn these over fairly quickly, usually within a month after the campaign is complete, and then I start another one. And this is, I think, my third one for the year. So yeah, man, go check it out. If you like strange stories, that's really weird. Yeah, that's funky. Okay, all right, I got work to do.
Pretty cool, man. I love it.
Oh, thank you. These are various.
Kind of reminds me of like Don Bluth, almost like the stylisticness of everything.
Oh yeah.
Don
I mean,
Bluth.
yeah, definitely. Secret in Him was definitely an influence. But I got various artists. This is Jade Gonzalez. She's the main series artist, right? This is her work. This is by Donnie Harijawa. He was recently, not too long ago, on Vampirella. He did this cover for me, which is cool. And then, like I said, the interior is all done by Jade Gonzalez. So. And then this is another one of her covers. And then this is Donnie again. And this is more of her interiors for the second issue. There's Jade. And then, we have a couple of the other series that are still available. So if you want to pick up some stuff, I got a T-shirt, pins, buttons, all kinds of stuff for it. All right. So enough about me. Let's get back to the show. All right. Mr. Rosario.
Yes.
You go for it. Go ask your question.
We got time? We got time.
We got time. That's why I was trying to run through real quick.
All right. I want to bring about the positive tonight. I like the underdog. I like people who fight from their back foot. And I know this may not be a popular question for some, Tom. But
now I'm really interested. Now you got me.
Why does the comic book industry still need Diamond distributors?
Ah, nice.
I know there's a lot of negative sentiment out there. I couldn't understand. That's the low-hanging fruit. Well, let's utilize.
Man, you're gonna make me argue against myself.
Yes,
this is the worst.
Yes.
The worst.
Excellent.
The worst.
Nice.
But who wants to start? What do we got? Noel.
Yeah.
Why does the comic book industry still need Diamond distributors?
I think you need that competition. I think it's kind of like the same thing with like wrestling. You need to have different fractions. You need to have different corporations go at each other. It makes each other better. It makes them up their game, maybe lower prices, maybe communicate more with the independent scene, which I think Diamond has not really done well with. But also brings back like old conversations that me and Jason used to have, Jason Dube, that like when he was in Diamond, before he was in Diamond distributing his comic books, there was other distributors that were there, right, Jason?
Yeah, you're like taking all my answer. Go ahead.
Well, I'll bring you into this conversation as well because he
all
was
right,
giving me a lot of knowledge before Diamond. But I just think my short answer would be you need to have that competition, because if you just have a monopoly, then you really don't have any choices as the top tier artists, writers, or whatever, to like indie and then below indie or whatever. Not really levels, but like you need to have choices, I believe. So I think that would be my short answer.
Okay.
Can I piggyback on that?
Go ahead.
All right, because I remember when Diamond and Capital City and Heroes and they were all fighting to get my little independent comic book in their catalog. Like they wanted me to get in their catalog. It wasn't me going, please let me in your catalog.
Yep.
So I miss those days when they were fighting to get me in their catalog. So yeah, I totally am piggybacking on Noel's answer there. More competition means better better chances for the rest of us, I think.
Okay,
All right,
very
cool.
good.
Fish, what are your thoughts?
Before you start speaking, you're muted.
You're muted. Fish, you're muted.
I got so many damn screens trying to get my mouse on the right one. It's hard for me to argue in favor of Diamond because they have been the monopoly that has made everything miserable for so long.
Yeah.
That it's kind of hard. I hope it brings in competition. My experience when the people that have been in charge all this time suddenly start to lose market share, they tend to do stupid things like crack down on Netflix password sharing and piss all their customers off rather than do things to help keep customers coming back. So I hope it helps. I don't have great expectations that it will.
Okay. Gosh. All right. Fair enough. Tom, what do you think?
Wait, before we go to, because I know Tom was chomping on the bit. Let's talk to Wilson for a second. Wilson, what do you think?
My knee-jerk reaction is we do not need Diamond.
Oh.
But having said that, and having some knowledge of being in the inside of the industry, in the sense of I was at Marvel when they bought Heroes World. The problem with Marvel buying Heroes World was that they bought the wrong distributor. And Marvel didn't realize that. And because of that debacle, that's completely on Marvel, Diamond had to do what it could to survive, and they bought the other distributors to keep the comic industry going. This is information I found out years later from other insiders, kind of a thing where I didn't get to see it. I saw how other publishers were reacting to it. So one argument can be that, yeah, they're a complete monopoly, but they kind of saved the comic industry for what they did. Whether or not comics should have died back then, I don't know. But the problem with it now, I'm loving the idea that there are more distributors. And the thing with having more distributors, I've always found that the main problem with selling comics is not having enough distributors. And as much as a lot, and we all have been doing fairly successful on Kickstarter, it is the most expensive way to get a comic book.
Oh, yeah.
To get a single comic book. And I understand it. You know, I got my pile here that I got from JD recently. You know, I love the cards. I love all the extra stuff. It helps with the blow that we are as a buyer on how much we're spending on getting our comic books. So I can see why, and there are people that I talk to a lot that's like, oh, I would like to get your comic book, but it's too expensive. And it's like, unfortunately, it has to be only because of where we're stuck in. And most of the time it's because of mailing. It's where we're getting killed, is in the mailing of a single issue comic book. And of course, it's smart that a lot of us have been packaging it up with more stuff. So I'm hoping that with having more distributors, that we would have at least another way to get our books out there. I do not see any company, Marvel, DC, ever lowering their prices because they got more ways to distribute. I think those prices are set. Us as individuals, we might be able to play with the prices if we didn't have that worry of shipping everything out and the cost of shipping. So I would say, you know, Diamonds, for all their fault, they're already entrenched, and comic book shops, again, I know a lot of comic book shops, the first thing they ask me if I talk about my book is, oh, are you in Diamond? Mm-hmm. You know, so there's that thing where it's like, for now, if we can get in there, we do pretty good, you know, but again, I say it is a necessary evil that we currently have.
Gotcha. All right, cool. All right, Tom, you're chomping at the bit. What do you think?
Okay. There's a lot to unpack with all of this. A lot of what has been said is all true. The reality is we don't need Diamond Comics because there are already alternatives that exist. However, like we've just talked about, competition theoretically breeds better marketplace, better opportunity, better on and on and on and on and on. Mm-hmm. So one of the theories here is that if if we have more distributors, more small press guys can get into the catalog, whatever we want to call it, previews or whatever. And that may be true, but ultimately that doesn't make a retail store care about your book. We still have massively low buy rates for independent comics of all kinds, of all sizes, whether it's Vault or Zenescope or Scout, or, I mean, they're selling a couple thousand units in a lot of cases with a few exceptions, of course. Mm-hmm. So if we suddenly have a whole bunch of new distributors, which then opens the door to new opportunities for new comic publishers, smaller guys like ourselves, that's great. That's an awesome thing. That doesn't sell us to a retailer. The distributor Diamond has never in their history that I'm aware of, and I've been going back through this a long time, really tried to sell a book, right? They just offer a book. So while they're the middleman from us to our potential buyer, which is the retailer, they've never done anything to say, hey, man, you should be looking at all these other books down here. That was basically the job of like Wizard Magazine and things like that. And Diamond just sat back and sort of reaped the rewards of what Wizard and, those types of magazines were doing in the 90s. So Diamond hasn't done shit for us. It is a system that was designed to support Marvel and DC primarily. And then in the 90s, of course, everything just blew up. But it didn't blow up because there was suddenly this glut of great comics. It blew up because there was a speculator market, a gigantic speculator market. And again, at the time, Diamond was primed for this and just ready to just absorb it all and do it all. So there was ease of use because Diamond, it's a one-shop market. Like you just buy everything from them. Everything gets shipped from them. Now, if you're buying from Penguin and Lunar and Diamond, now you've got 3 shipping costs that you have going on. So it's a very complicated thing. It's a very complicated thing. I said when Image Comics went over to Lunar that was the first domino for Diamond's death knell, not because they moved, but because they went exclusive. And this is exactly what happened in the 90s when Marvel went exclusive, DC went exclusive, Image went exclusive, and they all left Heroes to go over to Diamond with these exclusive contracts. So now if exclusivity is becoming part of the key element here, why isn't Dynamite going to look at the deal that Image is getting? Why isn't Zenescope going to look at the deal they're getting? And if they can get a better deal, I'm going to guarantee you they're going to go over there and go exclusive, because they're not going to worry about trying to pick up like 500 units here and 500 units here, and we're still selling 1,000 units. Like that doesn't matter. If they can go over here and say, we're here and we're getting a better deal just for ourselves, they'll make everybody go over to Lunar. And so Diamond's not going anywhere right now. It's not like a switch is being turned off and they're gone, but the door just got opened because of that exclusivity part of Image's contract. And that's where things could now start to get wonky if the rest of the publishers are like, oh, well, what did they get?
Right.
Okay. Right. Mark, why do you think the industry still needs Diamond?
Do I? Personal feelings aside, I think another distributor is always a good thing. I think that if they were to end tomorrow, how much of a difference the comic book industry would be? There'd be a void, and then somebody else would fill it. It's just like, do we need a Blockbuster? Do we need Universal? Do we need a Fox? Do we need that? We don't really need it, because I believe that if it did go, they'll fill in that void. So it's nice to have more different avenues out there, but I don't think it's needed to have Diamond. It's nice, but I don't think it's needed.
Okay. Calderon.
They're definitely. I feel at this point in time, they're still needed. right?
Yeah. Why?
I think the main reason they're needed is because there are huge. Because here's the thing, Lunar, although they're moving in, they have yet to fully embrace everyone, all the independent creators.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
They don't have everybody in their catalog. I mean, they'll take them out of they'll pull them out of the Diamond catalog or whatever. But if you're ordering through DCBS, but they don't have them in their catalog. So I mean, until the day comes where everyone can be everywhere, because I'm like Jason. I'm from back in the day when we had 14 different distributors, and we would, you had these different distributors from all over the place, and you could go in there and as an indie with no advertising, nothing, put out an issue 1, you could probably sell anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 books.
Right.
If you had half a brain, which I didn't have back then because I was only 18, but if you had half a brain and you advertised and pushed, you could probably sell 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 copies, even up to maybe 15,000 copies. Okay, and that was black and white. The cover prices were cheaper, like $2, $2.50, something along those lines. Depends what you're doing, right? But now we just have Diamond, and we need it until Lunar opens up a little bit, right? And the thing is it's non-exclusive, and that's, I think, the key. You have to be non-exclusive. You have to be able to go through Diamond. You have to be able to go through Lunar. What's that other company from Canada that's opening up a warehouse? Universal. Once they open up a warehouse here in the U.S., they'll be distributing comics as well. You understand? Is Penguin Random House going to take, one of my books, or Critter, or Blinth, or Core? Are they going to take any of our books, and are they going to take them as seriously as they take a Marvel comic? Probably not, right? They might take you on, but they'll be like, well, we'll put you in there. Good luck, buddy, right?
Yeah, but that's all distributors. What you were talking about back in the day was almost like old wrestling regions. You had distributors that were focusing on regions, right? And they would sell to those regions. Did you hear what I just said? They would sell to the regions.
Yes.
They wouldn't. They're not just going, "Hey, we'll put you in there. Good luck." Like you said, they were actively doing something.
Right.
Diamond doesn't do shit. They do nothing other than national distribution. They open the door to the world. Well, the world. I mean, I guess they do some, external
European
stuff, but they open the door to the United States for you to have, access to that. But they don't actually sell anything. They don't have salespeople. They don't have reps that are like, why aren't you carrying Scout Comics? Why aren't you carrying this? You should be looking at these things. That's what's missing in distribution, is actual salespeople doing a job 100%. To say, we represent these companies. This is who you should have in your store. Why don't you? Let's do it.
Those sport camp people that go out and scout for like these college players. Yeah. They need to have those kind of people. That's absolutely right. Dude.
Right.
No, I understand what you're saying, Tom.
Yeah, I can run around all the Michigan stores, right? Because I live here. Right. But how do I go talk to California and Washington and Florida? I can't. But these guys have direct access to all of the stores because they sell to all of the stores. So they need to be actively. That's their next step. This is how Diamond saves themselves. They sell the fucking books that they have. Right. And because if they can start selling 2,000 units becomes 3,000 units, that's huge for a small publisher. 3,000 becomes 4. That's huge for a small publisher. Right. And now that Diamond doesn't have Image, they don't have Marvel, or they have Marvel and DC to small, respects.
Barely.
When you start losing that volume, that affects a lot from your bottom line. So you got to make some of that up. And if all you got to do is hire some reps to go out there and be like, hey, we're going to shill all these indies that we've got, shill Dynamite, shill all these guys. And you can add an extra 1,000 or 2 onto all of these different publisher stacks. That's good for everybody.
Yeah.
But now the question is, I'm surprised nobody has said, and this is, I think, the most important thing that we need Diamond for as independent creators. We still need somebody to collect the fucking money. Plain and simple.
But if Diamond went away, what they do would go to Lunar, would go to Penguin, would go to Universal.
But like Calderon said, they're not taking us right now, bro.
No, so that's what I'm saying. Diamond isn't switching off, right?
No, they're not.
But when we talk about, do we need Diamond now? Yes. In 6 months, probably not. If Lunar looks at the market and is like, we got Image, let's go get Dynamite, let's go get these guys, let's go bring them in. It'll be a slow sink of Diamond down the line.
But
and
how
to the
hard
point
is it
where
for you to collect? You said it a second ago, right? You hit the stores in Michigan. How hard is it for you to collect, right, an invoice on a store 1,000 miles away when you're on consignment?
Well, no one in Michigan consigns in California. That doesn't happen.
So when you're doing conventions in other states, you don't hit a local retailer who's set up and say
no,
really,
never,
okay,
never.
And I have to also tell you, the few times when I've dealt with retailers at conventions, I sell them my books. I don't do consignment with them.
Also true. Yeah. Like I'll give them a wholesale if they want a wholesale for sure.
I'll do wholesale. I'll give them 50% off. No problem. I'll handle the books right then and there. I'll sign them if they want them signed, but I will not do consignment with someone who just walks up to me and says I'm a retailer.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then let's look at it like this, Calderon. How many boutique distributors are we dealing with right now between you and I that we know of that we're getting 6 to 7 months payout? Right. I mean, come on. I know Diamond is a 4 to 6 month payout, but at least you're going to get that.
Are they? I mean, look, when I was dealing with,
they can lean on the shops. We can't.
Yeah. No, that's fine. But what I'm saying is,
if shops can't pay, they can't pay. There are so many shops that just literally cannot pay right now. It's just it's an epidemic, and it's been really bad. Even before COVID, there were shops that were just dying because they couldn't afford their bills. It was monumental, and a lot of it's because of all these variant covers where it's like, well, you got to buy 500 units of this book to get this one dumb thing, and they're buying all these units, and then they're just sitting on 500 books because maybe they sell 50 of them for their customers, but then what are they doing with the rest of it? That's why all this stuff ends up in dollar boxes. I was at Motor City on a Friday, and there were new comics that week in the dollar box.
God damn.
And that was because those dudes just bought them for the variant covers, and then they just were like, here, take this shit because we don't want it. The market is effed right now in the way that it does things, particularly in those kinds of concepts. And Diamond let them do it. Diamond let them just keep doing it because it was what's anyone going to say, right? And ultimately that comes down to the retailer, because retailers don't have to do that. They don't have to say, well, I'm going to buy 500 to get the variant. They don't have to do it. But, there has to be some accountability on the distributor for this stuff, or things just get out of control, like where we are now. And now they start to lose their customers, publishers in this case. And it's, like I said, it's a slowly sinking ship. It's not a matter of like the lights going out right now. We're not blowing out the candle. They're not out of here. But if Lunar slowly keeps growing and starts exclusive grabbing some more publishers, Diamond's going to be in deep trouble.
Yeah.
And again, at that point, we would all start moving over to Lunar or whoever else is available. So as far as collecting the money, Lunar, Universal, Penguin, whoever picks up the Diamond coffin when they die, we would be getting it from them.
That's right. Whoever raids the corpse. But I mean, the thing is, though, is when I started, right, in 92, 91, there was 12,000 stores, 14,000 stores, a ridiculous number of stores. You could sell to a small portion of that community and sell 3,000 or 4,000 books, right? Today, I think we're down to 1,200 stores. 1,400 stores.
I mean, I don't know that we're below quite 2,000 yet, but it's low. It's really low. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not doing great.
Those comic stores are just Pokemon stores that happen to carry a little bit of comics. So.
Oh yeah, every store within 100 miles of me, except for one, is focused on gaming and selling snacks to people that come in to play Pokemon, because they make more money off of that than they do off of comics.
Right. Where are you at, Fish?
Arkansas.
Okay.
Like, there's one shop in Little Rock that focuses on like comics. Everything else is a gaming store that also sells comics in the corner.
Yeah, that's a dangerous thing. That's just where we're at. It's crazy. So Jay, did you answer your own question? Did you?
The money.
That's it.
Somebody to go after the money. I don't have time to lean on the
stores.
Someone
with a baseball bat.
There you go, bro.
Yep. All right, cool, gentlemen. We're
what, Jay?
I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
What's up, Noah?
No, I was gonna say something because I'll piggyback on some stuff too. Another thing that Diamond maybe can do is work on, you know how they have the summits, the diamond summits,
Right.
they could actually probably anyone like Dallas, they have LA summits, they have some in Comic-Con, but like maybe they could like reach out, like Tom was saying, maybe they could hire somebody, or maybe they even have people in place. I've been looking at the one that's going on in Dallas, and you might see an indie creator in there they're going to be giving out some books to to the people that
most retail stores don't give a shit about indie books. Right. Even when we were at the 3,000, 3,500 mark, the reality was that roughly 500 stores were buying indies in any sort of real quantity. The rest were buying like, I got customers that want them, so I'll buy the 2 for them, and then that's it. So this is the other problem that we have just as a whole in the market, is that most stores are not really indie friendly.
And not just our indies. I remember when Dinesh was running Valiant, he said 81% of his revenue was generated by 18% of the shops that were out there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and that's across the board. So you're looking at Valiant when they were actually really good and relevant. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure Mike Richardson over at Dark Horse will tell you the same. I'm sure Ben Dunn will tell you the same thing. It's a small minority of shops buying independent comics.
I also feel that's one of the reasons why Ross over at Boom is utilizing, and even Dynamite, utilizing crowdfunding in their strategies now, because they're trying to generate revenue outside of the normal channels.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah, definitely. All right, gentlemen, we made it to hour 2. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Listen,
thank you.
So let's start with Noel. Please let us know where they can find you in your work, sir.
Before my phone burns up and dies up, let's see. What was the question again?
It says, where can people find you in your work, sir?
You can find me in any place in the internet under Art of Sapo Serrato. Right now, you can find me on Kickstarter under Blinth. That's where we're trying to get the attention to. So anywhere you are, if you're watching this, just find me or Jason on Blinth Kickstarter. But if you're just looking for art, my art or my stuff that I've done in the past, just go under Art of Sapo Serrato, and you'll find me there.
All right, cool. Wilson, where can they find you in your work, sir?
You can find me in the Drift anywhere under Ramos Comics. It's basically all my socials has that. So I'm active on TikTok, Instagram, on YouTube, so you can find me that way.
Nice.
All right, fair enough. Mr. Fish?
I am Mr. Fish Comics everywhere, and right now, go Mr. Fish Comics. Go MrFish.com will take you right to the Kickstarter.
All right, cool. Mr. Jason?
All my social medias are either under Jason Dube or Scattered Comics. You could go to scatteredcomics.com and find links to all our books, or even Noel Serrato and all our creators. But yes, we want your attention to the Kickstarter. Blinth, thank you so much for having us on your show tonight. Really, really had a good time and learned a lot.
Listen, all right. Listen, you guys know you're always welcome. Tom, where can we find you in your work, sir?
Yeah, we basically live on Facebook, so that's where you can kind of find us first. You can find me, friend me up. You can go to the Big Dog Inc. fan page, Instagram and Twitter, BDI Comics. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Big Dog Inc. TikTok exists, but there's nothing there. But I guess I'll be doing my dancing videos soon, because that's what everybody does. And we'll be hitting the convention scene here in the last half of 2023. So keep your eyes open for those announcements.
Very nice. Mark, where can they find you in your work, sir?
All right, best place is just to Google It Came From Radio, but that's www.itcamefromradio.com. We are the official show of the Big Apple Con. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary in February of this year. We are on 88.1 FM WARY in Westchester County. We are also on a couple of online radio stations. We are on BTD Radio on Thursdays, Country Oregon Radio on Saturdays, Sci-Fi Radio on Wednesdays, and we're doing a live stream at the Malvern Comic Fest in 2 weeks. So we'll be doing covering the entire event. It's going to be the convention will be behind us. It'll be kind of like a G4 thing. We're going to have all the celebrities come in and rotate on a little table right there. And we also do a live show courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library the second Wednesday of every month. The next show will be on the 14th of June. We have a comic creator who's going to be down there. It's free. And we're also on Facebook and mostly on Twitter.
Cool. Mr. Rosario.
UnstoppableComics.com. All roads lead to and from Unstoppable Comics for me. You can find all the social media links on there. And if anybody has backed the Limbo campaign, those bad boys should be arriving this week. So we should be fulfilling by the end of the week or early next week. So get ready, folks.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. So I'm JD Calderon. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, DeviantArt, YouTube, all on the JD Calderon. I'm typically here every Sunday with JD and a rotating cast of co-hosts. Thank you, Mark. You're awesome as usual. And please, everybody, go check out the show notes. Go hit those links. Go support these campaigns. There's some really awesome campaigns, great books. So please go hit those links. Go check out those books because, you know, we're independent comic book creators and we need your support. Keep buying more indie, read more indie comics, especially ours. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.